Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and in this video we'll be talking about decorators in Python. I'm sure some of you might be wondering what a decorator is, and I'm just going to try explain it in the simplest way as possible. So a decorator is a function that adds attributes to a different function. It's going to make sense later on, but let me just give you a quick example. So here right now I have a function to count to 10,000. It's just a simple function. If I run it, it just counts to 10,000 here. So let's just say you want to calculate the amount of time it took to like compute that function here. One way you can go about this is by just calculating the time as usual. So we import time, and then you measure the start time. Start time is equal to time. And then after it runs, you just measure the end time as well. End time. Time. And then you just return the difference between the two of them. So total. Print f total time is equals to end time minus start time. And if you run this, it's going to show you the results as well. So the total time it took was 0.8 seconds. If you had if you had 10 different functions that perform something separately different, and you also want to calculate the time it takes to execute that function, you would need to add this to the whole function, and as the function number increases, the code becomes less efficient. So a way to tackle this is by using something we call decorators. So to make a decorator is the same thing as making a function. So we do def time, we just do def, and then you just call the function anything you want to call it. So just say time, I'll just call it calculate time for functions. And here you pass in a function. It's going to make sense as I explain it more. So we just pass in a function. And inside here, we make a new function again, which is like an inner function. So we just say def inner function. Again, you can call it anything you want to call it. But inside this inner function, we pass in two arguments, which is args and quargs. For now, let's just do nothing with this inner function first. We just put pass, and in this outer function, we just return the inner function. Okay, so that's the whole setup done. So in this inner function, these arguments are like tuples that accepts either arguments or keyword arguments. So this stands for arguments and this stands for keyword arguments. The best way I can explain it is by using this tuple. So in this argument, if I pass in this tuple into this function, this argument will store this one, the numbers, and this one will store these keyword arguments. So if I add in number 9, 11, 12, all these single digits values, or all these numbers that don't have anything assigned to them, will be stored in this one. And then if I just say m is equals to 12, this keyword arguments will be stored in this one. That's why it's called arguments and quargs. You can name it anything you want to name it, but it's programming, it's just convention to name it args and quargs. So yeah. And inside this function, what we need to do is just calculate the start time, and then inside this we just pass in the function, this function that we passed in. We just call this function and pass in these values there, and then we calculate the end time as well, and then we just sum it up. So for the end time, we just be like print total time end time minus start time. And then once we're done with this, we just return these results. So when we call this function, how this works is that, so when we call this function, since this inner function is not being called, it's gonna go to return this, and that's us calling this inner function. So when this is finished computing, it's just gonna return this result, which is gonna be passed into this, and then it's gonna be returned. So to make use of this function in separate functions, all we need to do is just use this argument. We just need to use add in at and then calculate the time. That's it. That's us done with it. So this is a decorator now. So just to make sure it works, let's just run it and see what happens. Previously, because like when we didn't have that, this was the result. So if we run it again, it's gonna show us the same result as well. It's gonna just calculate the time same as usual. But the major advantage of that is that, so let's just say we have a different function again, def count, and here we want to pass in, we just want to count from 0 to, let's just say 10,000 as well, for range in 10,000 as well. Print underscore counts. Instead of us doing that start time end time nonsense, we can just call the decorator by just saying calculate time. And then if we run these functions, it works as normal. It's just going to calculate the time for the both of them. Okay, let's just say that we want to pass in a value to one of them. Like let's just say we want to pass in like an argument to one of the functions. Let's just say 10,000. And here we do 10,000. No, actually no. We want to pass in a number. And here we pass in a number. This will work as normal, and that's because we have this here. If we didn't have this here, let's just remove this for a second. And then we run it. It's going to show us that, oh, the inner function is missing an argument, and that is because the args and the quargs is responsible for like dealing with this kind of scenarios. So if you just like go back, the reason why it works when we don't have anything passed in there is because these args and quargs it works whether you give it a value or not. So it takes in arguments. So like if arguments are available, it works. If it's not available, it works regardless. So if we just refresh that and just rerun it again with this, it works same as usual. And that's going to be it for today, guys. So to just refresh your memory, a decorator is a way to add attributes to a function without changing the function. To use a decorator, we make a function first, or we can just use a built-in function, and then before we can make use of that function in a different function, we need to add this @ symbol. If you don't have that @ symbol, it's not going to work. It's not going to implement the attribute to that function. So we make sure that you need to make sure to add the @ to the function, and then if you run it, it works. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next video.